Okay, that was our tribute to the peace that has broken out since 2018. The wind of peace is blowing, and it is growing day by day. And we here at the Horn of Africa TV are nurturing it. And towards that, to secure this peace process, we are working hard day and night. We want to be the voice of peace. And towards that, now in the second part of our discussion, we will have 5 panelists to explore all aspects or all angles of this peace process. If you're all ready to present your papers, each speaker will have 10 minutes. And the first speaker I call is, let me go to the gallery view. So, excuse me a second. The first speaker will be Mr. Sieum Tesgay from London. He's going to present in Tigrinya. His paper is titled Mhiyal Mahbarokomat Nizobawi Wahdat. Essentially translating it, it will be strengthening diaspora Horn of Africa communities for regional peace and cooperation of the Horn of Africa, back home, that is. Mr. Sieum Tesgay, Comrade Sieum Tesgay, has been working in the public, voluntary and private sector for over 30 years, in the UK, that is. He's now happily retired, but not from the struggle. He's still active in the struggle. He's a member of the editorial board of the Horn of Africa TV, by the way. And he's also very active in the Eritrean community in London. He leads the Western London Eritrean community as a chairman. And so I welcome our first speaker, Mr. Sieum Tesgay. The floor is yours, Sieum.
Yeah, Elias. أقدم سلامتها قرب فتو نقول لهم نزمة بزي زد لهم بفلا كان مجمرة جزء نراقب لزلنا بريزيدنت نايزي هورن قينوز مرح له كبر مستعينان حاونان بروفيسور محمد الحسن سلام قبل فتو بغطانا بتي عرستي كأتو أبتي لومي كزارولو دلي زلخو زعبا محبركم كما يكدل دلخيل انتا يخت محبركم زبهال اتنا مجمريا ترتناتو بحرف زلعلة الزبط إحقاء بدرجة سوسايتي وحبرتسب كما يبوهدة تريح خيل كنرئينا مالتي محبركم كنقول كلنا أكوب دمر ناي استدرابيتات مالت ناي استدرابيت كنقول كلنا خاط تحت يونيت أب محبركم وين محبركم ترح ناي مجمر يونيت تحت استدرابيت يا مالي جي محبركم ناتو دايناميك سلازلوه ناتو دي ان اي ونالوه جن ببينو خسرح سلازي كيل كوحات خيل علوه افراي خخون منتي سلازي استدرابيتات مستفترة نحاد هدن ناتوا هذا محبركم يسرحمو محبركم كا كل دايناميك نايتن استدرابيتات اكيبو حدا وحود زخونه رأي وي فيجن يهلوه محبركم تتقرني فنكانت حبرتسب نبلونا حنتي حجر يسرح مالك اجي حبرتسب اب حجر انت دا تسرحو حجرات كا حبرتسب لزلوان كما غيرن توحيدن بحبار سلام نمعبالين يسرحا وسيتاتنا خندسس اجيتي ابتي زوا وحدت كبصحنا زقل مجمري في محبركم مهانو ማሕበረኩም መጀመርያ ዕውት ዝኾነ ጉዕዞ ንክህልዎ ግን ክውደብ የድሊ ተወዲቡ ራእይ ናቱ ንጹር ክገብር ክኽእል ኣብ ርእሲኡ ነዚ ራእይ እዚ ኣብ ማዕርፎ ከብፅሕ ዝኽእል ርጡብ ዝኾነ መሪሕነት ወይ ሊደርሺፕ ከዓ የድልዮ ማለት እዩ ስለዚ ኣድላይነት ናይ ውዳቤ ኣብ ሓደ ማሕበረኩም ኣዝዩ ኣገዳሲ እዩ ከምዚ ሓደ ማዕዶ ምናልባት መብዛሕትኩም ኣይትፈልጥዎን ትኾኑ ዞም መንእሰያት ክትክስትረሉ እንተደሊኻ ክትጠምሮ ኣለካ ብሓንሳ ክትኣስፍሮ ኣለካ ዝኾነ ይኹን ፕሮጀክት ክዕወት እንተኮይኑ ከዓ ሓደ ጥምረት ዘለዎ ማሕበረኩም እዩ ኣብ መዕርፎ ከብፅሖ ዝኽእል ስለዚ ኩሉ ግዜ እቲ ውዳቤ ኣድላይነት ኣለዎ ንሕና ከም ኤርትራውያን ኣብ ውዳቤ ዘለና ታሪክ ሒደት ኣይኮነን ብመሰረቱ እቲ ኣብ ርባዓታት ዝነበረ ውዳቤታት ናይ ፖለቲካዊ ሰልፍታትን ማሕበራትን ከም መጀመር ጌርና ክንወስዶ እንተደኣ ኮይና ብዙሕ ስራሓት ኣሳሊጡ ብዙሕ ምንቅስቃሳት ኣካይዱ ኣብ ርእሲ እቲ ምንቅስቃሳት እቲ ክሰርሓሉ ብዘይክእል ደረጃት ፌደሬሽን ድሕሪ ምፍራሱ ማለት እዩ እንደገና እቲ ከም መጀመርያ ናይቲ ብረታዊ ቃልሲ ውዳበ ገይሩ ዝወሰዶ እቲ ማሕበር 7 ንብሎ ናይ ዋህዮ ውደባ ማለት እዩ ስለዚ ኩሉ ግዜ እንታይ እዩ እቲ ውዳበ ዘይብሉ ነገር ብቐሊሉ ኣብ ሸቱ ክበፅሕ ኢልካ ዝሕሰብ ኣይኮነን እዚ ውዳበ እዚ ኣብቲ ብረታዊ ተጋድሎና እንታይ ኣድማዕ ግደ ከም ተፃወተ ኩላትና ንፈልጦ ኢና ምናልባት እቲ ቃልሲ ካብ ዝዕወተ ሓደ ቱል ወይ መሳርሒ እቲ ውዳቤናይ ማለት እዩ ተወዲፍካ ጥራይ ዝኾነ ነገር ከተድምዕ ትኽእል ምክንያቱ እቲ ሕብረተሰብ ሰለስተ መለለይ ኣለዎ ሓደ ሕብረተሰብ ክበሃል ይከኣል በተሓሳስባ ማለት እዩ ብፍላይ ከዓ ግሪኻ ንከምዚ ዓይነት ተሪኦ ክገልፅዎ ከሎ ኣብ ሰለስተ መቕለወት ሓደ ክፋል ናይቲ ሕብረተሰብ ንበይኑ ዝሓስብ ወይ ንበይኑ ዝነብር ወይ ከዓ ካልእ ነገር ኣብ ከባቢኡ ከም ዘሎ ኣብ ግምት ዘየእቱ ኣካል ናይቲ ሕብረተሰብ ኣተሓሳስባ ማለት እዩ ምናልባት ነዚ ተሓሳስባ እዚ ነዚ ካይዳ እዚ ኣብ ውሽጢ ሕብረተሰብ ከም ኢድየት ዝብል መግለፂ ህብዎ ግሪካውያን እቲ ሰብ ዓሻዩ ወይ ለባሚ ማለት ግን ኣይኮነን እቲ ተሓሳስባ ግን ሽም ሂቦሞ ማለት እዩ ካብኡ ሓሊፉ ብጉጅለ ወይ ብዝኾነ ጠቢብ ምትእስታራት እናተዋሃደ ዝኸይድ ጠቢብ ምትእስታራት እውን ኣሎ ነቲ ረብሑን ካልእ መክሰቡን ከዓ ተሪሩ ብሓንሳብ ተጠርኒፉ ይዋግኣሉ ወይ ይቃለሰሉ ካልኣይ ሳልሳይ እቲ ሲቲዝን ዝብልዎ ወይ ዜጋ ዝብልዎ ብገፊሕ ዝሓስብ ንሙሉእ እቲ ሃገርን ሕብረተሰብን ብሓባር ከሰጉም ዝኽእል ኣተሓሳስባ ዘለዎ ክፋል ናይ ሕብረተሰብና ኣሎ ስለዚ ኣብ ጉዕዞ ቃልሲ ነዚ ሰለስተ ራእያታት እዚ ከተዋሃድ ወይ እውን ከም እዛ ኣፍሪቃዊ ሕብረተሰብ ወይ ናትና ሕብረተሰብ ኤርትራዊ ሕብረተሰብ እውን ክትሪኦ እንትኾንካ እቲ ደረጃ ምዕባለናቱ መስፍናውን ርእሰማላውን ጠባያት ዝሓናፈፀ እዩ ስለዚ እቲ ውዳበ ነዚ ክልተ ራእያታት እዚ ወይ ነዚ ንክልተ ማሕበረ ቁጠባዊ ምዕባለ እዚ ዘጠቃልል ውዳበ ሓሊካ ዝኾነ ነገር ዓላማኻ ክትበፅሖ ትኽእል ንዓና ክሳብ ሕጂ እቲ ተወዲፍካ ምስራሕ ወይ ከዓ ተጠርኒፍካ ንሓደ ዓላማ ምዕዋት ሓድሽ ነገር ኣይኮነን ምክንያቱ ሰሪሕናሉስ ተዓዊትናሉ ብፍላይ ኣብቲ ካልኣይ መድረክ ናይ ቃልሲ እቲ ሰልፍ ሪላያንስ ነብስኻ ምኽኣል ዝበሃል ኣምር እውን ከም ኣምር ኣካል ናይቲ ቃልቲ ወይ ከም ቱል ከም መሳርሒ ናይ ተቃልቲ ኮይኑ ከም ዝዓወተና ርዲእ ማለት እዩ በቲ ኣካይዳታት ክትሪኦን ከለኻ ንሕና እቲ ዘካየድናዮ ቃልቲ ካብቲ ከባቢና ቁሩብ ፍልይ ይብል ብጠባዩ ብብቕዓቱ ብዓቕምታቱ ብኩሉ መዓቀኒ ከም እቲ ኣብ ኤርትራ ዝነበረ ቃልሲ ከም ቫንጋርድ ሪቮሉሽን ወይ መሪሕ ዝኾነ ተውራ ኣብቲ ቀርኒ ኣፍሪቃ ኢልካ እውን ክውሰድ ይከኣል እዩ ሕብረተሰብ እምበኣር ብከምዚ ተወዲቡ እንተደኣ
You have 3 minutes left. 3 minutes.
حرك ሕብረተሰብ እምበኣር ከምዚ ተወዲቡ ክኸይድ እንተኮይኑ በይኑ ክኸይድ ኣይክእልኒ ምክንያቱ ንሕና ኣብ ቀርኒ ኣፍሪቃ ኣለና ኣብ ምብራቅ ኣፍሪቃ እውን ኣለና ማለት እዩ ኣጋጣሚ ኮይኑ እዚ ምብራቅ ኣፍሪቃን ቀርኒ ኣፍሪቃን እንታይ ይፍልል ለገለ ነገር እንታይ ይገብር ነይረ እቲ ዶክመንት ናይ ሕብራት መንግስታት ከይደ ይሪኦ ነይረ እጅቲ ቀርኒ ኣፍሪቃ ዝበሃል ጅቡትን ኤርትራን ኢትዮጵያን ሶማልያን ዘለዎ ገይሩ መዝጊብዎ ኣብቲ ናይ ሕብራት መንግስታት ሰነድ እቲ ምብራቅ ኣፍሪቃ ግን ታንዛንያ ካናዳ ኣሚን ኬንያ ዩጋንዳ ሩዋንዳ ብሩንዲ ደቡብ ሱዳን ገይሩ መዝጊብዎ ኣሎ ስለዚ ንሕና ከም ሃገር ክንዋሳእ እንኽእል ወይ ውህደት ክንፈጥር እንኽእል ምስቲ ኣብ ከባቢና ዘሎ ስለዝኾነ ጅቡትን ኢትዮጵያን ሶማልያን እተን ቀንዲ መሻርክቲ ናይቲ ቀርኒ ኣፍሪቃ ምሳና ተዋሂደን ክሰርሓ ዝኽእላ ሃገራትን ኣህዛብን እዮም ማለት እዩ እቲ ውህደት ክበሃል እንከሎ እንታይ ፋይድኡ ክንሪኦ እንተኮይና ውህደት ኣብ ቁጠባ ውህደት ኣብ ፖለቲካዊ ረኣያ ውህደት ኣብ ፀጥታውን ድሕንነታውን ሓለዋት ምክንያቱ እቲ ዘለና ዞባ ኣፀቢቑ ተሃዋሲ ስትራቴጂክ ቦታ ስለዝኾነ ጠመታታት ይበዝሖ እዩ በቲ ካልእ ዓለም በቲ ምዕራባዊ ዓለም ብፍላይ ንኣብነት ካብ ባብ ኢልማንደብ ክሳብ ስዌዝ ካናል ዝቀይሕ ባሕሪ ዝበሃል ዞባ እንተሪኢኻዮ ኣብኡ ዘይኣተወ ሓያል መንግስቲ ኣሎ ኢልካ ክትዛረብ ኣይትኽእልን ኢኻ ኩሎም ዳርጋኡ ማዓስከራት ከፊቶም እዮም በዚ እንታይ ክሕብረካ ይኽእል እቲ ኣድላይነት ናይቲ ስትራቴጂካዊ ዝኾነ ቦታ ናይ ቀርኒ ኣፍሪቃን ቀይሕ ባሕርን ዘሎ ማለት እዩ ውህደትና ሞዳ ከመይ ክሰርሕ እንተደኣኢልና ኩሉ ግዜ ንውህደት ክትሓስብ እንከለኻ ውህደት ዘይደሊ ክፋልካ ኣሎ ማለት እዩ ስለዚ እቲ ውህደት ዝበሃልሲ ውህደት ዘይምድላይ ኤሌመንት ናቱ እዩ ከምዝቆም ገይሮም ማለት እዩ ስለዚ ንሕና ብቁጠባ ፖለቲካ ብኩሉ ማሕበራዊ ህይወትን ፀጥታን ድሕንነትን ተዋሂድና ክሰርሕ እንተደኣ ኮይና እዚ ዓድነት ናይ ዝቀርኒ ኣፍሪቃ ዘይደልዮ ክፋል ክህሉ ከዓ ናይ ግድን እዩ ማለት እዩ እዚ ምስቲ ሙሉእ ኣብ ኣፍሪቃ ዘሎ ቁጠባዊ ህይወት ፖለቲካዊ ህይወት ኣታሒትካ ክትገልፆ እንተደኣ ኮንካ እቲ ኣፍሪቃዊ ሕብረተሰብ ንባዕሉ ነብሱ ክኢሉ ፀጋታቱ ባዕሉ ኣመሓዲሩ ቁጠባዊ ሓርነቱ ክውጀሉ ዝኽእል ዕድላት ኩሉ ግዜ ምስ ተዓፅፎ ነዚ ኣርኣያታት እዚ ክዓፁ ሓደ ከም መሳርሒ ዝጥቀምሉ እቲ ሓገዝ ወይ ኤድ ዝበሃል እዩ ማለት እዚ ኤድ እዚ እዚ ሓገዝ እዚ ከዓ ኩሉ ግዜ ረማስ እዩ ካብ ሕጂ ዝተፃወተ ግደ እንተሎ እቲ ኮራፕሽን ናብቲ ኣፍሪቃ ከም ዝምዕብል ድኽነትን ዕዳን ከም ዝሕይል እዩ ገይሩ ማለት እዩ ነዚ እቲ ሩይ ኣብነት ክበና ዝኽእል ምናልባት ኣብ ኬንያ ፊበራ ትብል ሓንቲ ቦታ ኣላ ድኻታት ዝቕመጥዋ ማለት እዩ ብዓቐና ሓደ 75 ካብ 100 ናይ ሴንትራል ፓርክ ናይ ኣሜሪካ ክትከውን ትኽእል ግን ልዕሊ ሚልዮን ሰባት ኣብኣ ይቕመጡ ሕጂ እንታይ ክብል ደልየት ቁጠባ ሓርነትና ከይረጋገፅናቲ ዘድሊ ውህደት ከነረጋግፅ ችግረና እሞ እዚ ውህደት ናይ ቀርኒ ኣፍሪቃ ዝበሃል ብዕቱብ ክስርሖ ዝግባእ ኣምር ኮይኑ ይስማዓኒ ኣነ ሌላ
Sieum, thank you very much for that presentation. Integration is very important, economic integration, but economic liberation has to come first, is what your conclusion is, and I agree with that. The next speaker will be Mr. Mohamed Badawy. He's from Melbourne, Australia. Mr. Mohamed Badawy is, let me read his impressive bio, is born in Eritrea, but he grew up in Ethiopia. He's Eritrean Australian. He is a telecommunications network change manager, and is a member of the editorial board of the Horn of Africa TV, an active member of the Eritrean Australian community in Melbourne. His presentation will be in Amharic, and it's going to be on the peace process, the new Horn of Africa vision. So I welcome you to, the floor is yours, Mr. Mohamed Badawy.
በጣም አመሰግናለሁ አቶ ኤልያስ። የተከበሩ ፕሮፌሰር መሐመድ ሐሰን የሆርን ኦፍ አፍሪካ ቲቪ የክብር ፕሬዝዳንት፣ የተከበሩ አቶ አብዱልቃድር ሐምዳን የሆርን ኦፍ አፍሪካ ቲቪ ዳይሬክተር ጀነራል፣ የተከበሩ አቶ ኤልያስ አማረ የሆርን ኦፍ አፍሪካ ቲቪ የክብር ምክትል ፕሬዝዳንትና ኤዲተር ኢን ቺፍ፣ የተከበራችሁ የሆርን ኦፍ አፍሪካ ቲቪ አባሎች እና ደጋፊዎች፣ የተከበራችሁ እንግዶች፣ ወዳጆች እና ተከታታዮች፣ ሰላም አለይኩም፣ እንኳን ደህና መጣችሁ። ሆርን ኦፍ አፍሪካ ኒውስ ኤጀንሲ በ1989 እንደ አውሮፓውያን አቆጣጠር ማለት ነው በሀገር አውስትሪያ በቪየና ከተማ የተመሰረተና በዚህ ከተማ በሚገኘው የተባበሩት መንግስታት ድርጅት የተመዘገበ ራሱን የቻለ ድርጅት ነው። ይህ ድርጅት ሲመሰረት ከኤርትራ አቶ አብዱልቃድር ሐምዳን፣ ከሱዳን አቶ ሐሰን አብዱልወሃብ፣ ከሶማሊያ ዶክተር አብዱልረህማን አደም በጀርመን ሀገር የመጨረሻው የሶማሊያ አምባሳደር ነበሩ ከጦርነቱ በፊት ማለት ነው። ከጅቡቲ ደግሞ አቶ አብዱልረህማን ሰመንተር። በዚህ እንዲህ ብቻ ሳይሆን በየጊዜው የተለያዩ የአፍሪካ ቀንድ ልጆች በብዙ ስራዎችን አበርክተዋል። ይህ ድርጅት የተመሰረተበት ዋናው ምክንያት በዛን ጊዜ የኤርትራን ህዝብ ትግል ለመደገፍ ነበር። ዛሬ ግን ሆርን ኦፍ አፍሪካ ቲቪ በአዲስ መንፈስ አዲሲቷ የአፍሪካ ቀንድ በሚል መርሃ ግብር አዳዲስ ሐሳቦችን በማቅረብ የአፍሪካ ቀንድ ሐቀኛ ታሪክ በመፈተሽና በማገናዘብ የፖለቲካ ትንታኔዎች፣ የተለያዩ ሙያዎችና ምክሮች፣ ለምሳሌ በስነ ጥበብ፣ በስነ ጽሁፍ፣ በጤና፣ በትምህርት፣ በኢኮኖሚና በማህበራዊ ጉዳዮች፣ በሌሎችም መስኮች አገልግሎትን እያቀረበ ይገኛል። ሆኖም በከፍተኛ ፍጥነት አብዮት በሚመስል መልኩ እየተጓዘ የሚገኘው ዲጂታል ሚዲያ እያመጣ ያለውን አዎንታዊና አሉታዊ ለውጦች በመከታተልና አሉታዊ ጉዳዮችን በመመከት የቀጠናችን ህዝቦች ሐቁን እንዲያውቁና በሚደረገው ፍልሚያ አሸናፊዎችንን እንድንወጣ በተቻለ መጠን ድርሻችን እየተወጣን እንገኛለን። እንደታዘብነው ከሆነ እነዚህ ተፈታታኝ ጉዳዮች ቀላል እንዳልሆኑና እንዳልነበሩም ከወዲያው መገመት ይቻላል። በአቅማችን ይህን ለመቋቋም አባሎቻችን በተለያዩ ሀገራት ለምሳሌ በአፍሪካ፣ በአሜሪካ፣ በአውሮፓ፣ በአውስትራሊያ፣ በኒውዚላንድ እና በመካከለኛ ምስራቅ በሚገኙ በገንዘባቸው፣ በጊዜያቸውና በእውቀታቸው አመመኝ፣ ደከመኝ፣ ሰለቸኝ ሳይሉ ሌት ተቀን በበጎ ፈቃዳቸው በማገልገል ላይ ይገኛሉ። ሁሉም የውጭ ጣልቃ ገቢዎች መንግስታትም ሆኑ ድርጅቶች ባላቸው ሀብትና አቅም በመጠቀም በተለይ በቀጠናችን ለነሱ በሚሰሩ እኛን በሚመስሉ ቋንቋችን በሚናገሩ በየጊዜው የሚቀያየሩ አሽከሮቻቸው ሰላማችን ከደፈረሰ፣ ሀብታችን ከተዘረፈ፣ ድካማችንና ደማችን ከፈሰሰ ብዙ ዘመናት አልፈዋል። በአሁኑ ጊዜ ይህንን በመገንዘብ በተለይ የወያኔ ሽበራና ቅሌት ስለበዛና የህዝቡ ንቃት ስለሰፋ በ2018 በመጣው ለውጥ በቀጠናችን ለመጀመሪያ ጊዜ የሰላም ንፋስ እየነፈሰ ይገኛል። ይህን ለውጥ በሚቃወሙ ጠላቶቻችን ብዙ ሴራዎች ታቅደውና ተደግብረው እንደነበሩ ዳሩ ግን አብዛኞቹ በኃይላችን የህዝባችንና የመንግስታችን ትብብር ለመፍሸል በቅቷል። እነዚህ ችግሮች በዚህ የሚያበቁ ሳይሆኑ ለጥቂት ጊዜም ቢሆንም ሊቀጥሉ እንደሚችሉ መገመት ቀላል ነው። በእኛ በኩል ልክ እንደገለጽነው የውሸት ዜናዎችን በማጋለጥና ትክክለኛውን በማቅረብ ለቀጠናችን ህዝብ ሰላምና አንድነት፣ ወዳጅነትና ትብብር፣ እርስ በርስ ለመተዋወቅ፣ የጋራ ጥቅማችን ለማስጠበቅ፣ የህዝባችን በተለይ የወጣቶቻችን ንቃት ከፍ ለማድረግ፣ በአጠቃላይ በቀጠናችን ማንኛውም መጥፎ ጣልቃ ገብነት ለመቃወምና በአክራሪዎች የብዙሃን መገናኛ የሚተላለፉ መርዘኛ ፕሮፓጋንዳዎች በማጋለጥ በመመከት ከህዝባችን ጎን በመቆም ሞራላዊና ሀገራዊ ግዴታችን ኃላፊነት በሞላበት አሰራር ለመወጣት ቃል ገብተናል። በዚህ መሰረት ለምሳሌ በትላንትናው ቀን በአሜሪካና በተባበሩት መንግስታት ድርጅት ሴኩሪቲ ካውንስል በሚደረጉ አንዳንድ ጣልቃ ገብነት ለመቃወም የኢትዮጵያና የኤርትራ ኮሚኒቲ እንዲሁም ሶማሌዎችም እንደነበሩ በሪፖርት ላይ ተገልጾልኛል። እዚያ ስላልነበርኩ እንዲህ ነው ብዬ መናገር አይችልም። ሌሎችም ሊኖሩ ይችላሉ። እነዚህ በተለይ ሁለቱ ትልቁ ኮሚኒቲዎች ኢትዮጵያና የኤርትራ ኮሚኒቲዎች ካምበራ በመሄድ ከሁሉም የአውስትራሊያ ስቴትስ ከኩዊንዝላንድ፣ ከኒው ሳውስ ዌልስ ሲድኒ ማለት ነው፣ ከመልበርን፣ ከታዝማኒያ ሳይቀር እንዲሁም ከሌሎች ስቴቶች ኢትዮጵያኖች እና ኤርትራኖች በአንድ ላይ ሆነው በጣም ትልቅ ሰላማዊ ሰልፍ ተደርጎ ነበር። ይህንንም አስተላልፈን ነበር በትላንትናው ቀን። ይህ የሚያሳየው አንድ ነገር አለ። ይህም ለውጥ እንዳለና ከአሁን በኋላ ይህ ለውጥ እንደማይቀለበስ ሰዎቹ በተናገሩት መሰረት እዚያ ቪዲዮ ሄዳችሁ ብትመለከቱ ከአሁን በኋላ እኛ ተምረናል። ስለተማርን ከአሁን በኋላ ወደ ኋላ የምንሄድበት ነገር የለም። ጠላቶቻችን እነማን እንደሆኑ ኦልሬዲ አውቀናል። በዚህ መሰረት ትግላችን ይቀጥላል፣ መከታችን ይቀጥላል እና ወዳጅነታችን ከፍ ለማድረግ ከአሁኑ በኋላ በቀጠናው በእኛ ቀጠና አካባቢ ያሉ የሶማሌ ኮሚኒቲ፣ የጅቡቲ ኮሚኒቲ፣ የኢትዮጵያ፣ የኤርትራ፣ የሱዳን ሁላችንም በየጊዜው የሆነ ፕሮጀክት ይዘን አብሮ የሚያገናኘን ስራ ለመስራት እንድንበቃ በተለይ የኤርትራን የኢትዮጵያን ኮሚኒቲዎች አንዳንድ ሀሳቦችን አቅርበናል። እነሱም ሊኖራቸው ይችላል። ግን እኛ በመከታተል በማበረታታት ይህን ቀጣይነት እንዲኖረው ለማድረግ የሚቻለንን እናደርጋለን። ይህ ብቻ ሳይሆን በቀጠናችን ለምሳሌ ኢትዮጵያኖች፣ ኤርትራኖች፣ ሱዳን፣ ጅቡቲ ከሁሉም ሀገራት ያላችሁ ወጣቶች፣ አቅም ያላችሁ የጋዜጠኝነት እኛን ጆይን ማድረግ የምትችሉ ሀሳባችሁን ግለጹልንና ኮንታክት ካደረጋችሁን እኛን በመቀላቀል እኛ ደግሞ አስፈላጊ የሆነውን ስልጠና በመስጠት ይሄው የኛን ቤተሰብ ጋር እንድትቀላቀሉ በክብር ደግሞ እንጠይቃለን። የተከበራችሁ አባሎች፣ ወዳጆች፣ ተከታታዮች በመታደርጉልን ድጋፍ ምስጋናችን በጣም የላቀ ነው። ይህ እንዳለ ሆኖ አሁንም ምክራችሁና ድጋፋችሁ አይለየን። ሰላምና ብልጽግና ለቀጠናችን። በጣም እናመሰግናለን። Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mohamed Saleh Badawy. You have finished on time. In fact, you had 2 minutes to spare. We can give that to our next speaker, Ms. Rahel Weldeab. Ms. Rahel has an impressive resume, and I have known her for a long time, since days in Amare when she was executive committee of the National Union of Eritrean Students and Youth, US for short. Currently, Rahel Weldeab Sebhatu is a PhD candidate in global politics at Malmö University in Sweden, an Eritrean Pan-Africanist and feminist Rahel has been involved in peace-building activities for almost 2 decades, including when organizing regional youth peace conferences in Asmara, Eritrea. And I'm witness to that. We have worked together on this on many occasions. Rahel's research interests include post-colonial feminism, post-colonial theory, decoloniality, negotiation theory, diplomacy, critical security studies, youth participation in peace building, Pan-Africanism, transnational activism and resistance. So very impressive resume. She's working on her PhD now. We share all the best. The title of her presentation is going to be The Role of Women and Youth in Securing the Peace in the New Horn of Africa, and it's going to be in English. So, Rahel, take the floor. You have 12 minutes, 10 minutes yours, and 2 minutes from Comrade Mohamed Badawy. Go ahead now.
Yes, thank you for the lovely introduction and for the opportunity to speak about issues that are very close to my heart. I will talk a little bit of not just the role of women and youth in the Horn of Africa when it comes to securing peace, but also some of the challenges we might face in that process. So when it comes to an international level, since 2000, the UN Security Council Resolution 1325 has seen the Women, Peace and Security Agenda come to fore. That included other supplementary resolutions. And 15 years later, the UN Security Council issued another resolution, Resolution 2250, that added youth into this peace and security agenda, which effectively brought young people to the discussion about on peace building and having youth participate at different negotiation tables. With the newfound peace in the Horn of Africa, especially with the historic peace agreement signed between Eritrea and Ethiopia in 2018, it has become obvious that there is a paramount importance for governments, civil societies, and stakeholders to ensure a space for women and youth to engage in peace building initiatives, while also ensuring that women and youth are represented in processes of transitional justice. The right to participation in such peace-building processes and initiatives is not something that women and youth of the Horn are entitled to or should get because of these UN-level peace and security agendas that tend to target them. Rather, the women and youth of the Horn of Africa have earned their place at the table because of the paramount role that they have played in the various liberation struggles in the region, post-conflict reconstruction, and nation-building processes. Right. So we know that. I mean, with this, we should understand that our right to be part of these processes is not something that's coming from abroad at all. Women and youth have earned this right through their everyday actions to make sure that a sustainable peace is secured in the region. When I talk about sustainable peace, I don't mean any type of return to a pre-war situation or situation where war is not actively taking place, where, you know, maybe there's been a ceasefire or guns put down. Rather, it is in the interest, and I truly believe that it is also the desire of the people of the Horn to have a positive peace. A positive peace in this sense means that a peace that provides social justice and equity, and that recognizes the agency and social roles of women and youth who are sometimes not seen as being in the forefront of these type of processes. And when I say the desire of the people, I mean it's one thing for us to assume that the people want to live in a peaceful situation. It's another thing to also have witnessed, for instance, in 2018, when hundreds of thousands of citizens in Eritrea and Ethiopia came out in the streets to celebrate the newfound peace between the countries. I know for myself, it was quite a shock of some sorts. As much as I know that Eritrean young people have worked towards, creating peace and solidarity among the Horn of Africa, to be able to witness such a spectacular change of events, and so many people coming out and expressing their desire for peace was definitely something that that was amazing, and a shock almost. After almost 18 years of experiencing war or hearing much propaganda by conflict entrepreneurs about the inability for the people to come to peace, to then have witnessed it is a testament, I think, to the potential of what citizens can and do want to do when it comes to peace. And in this case, in the case of my presentation, especially women and young people. Let me talk a little bit about the roles of youth and women. The dominant discourse, especially when we think about it in terms of the geopolitical situation, is that women are victims of conflict, and that's it, right? Although women have certainly suffered from the tyranny of war and conflict, the dominant discourse has failed to recognize the agency of women in war, right, in security, especially in when it comes to defending peace and one's national sovereignty. But it also fails to recognize the incredible role that women have played throughout the decades when it comes to supporting their children, saving their children from such tyrannies of war. I should note here that these type of roles that have and continue to be played are not just within the region, but also are roles that people take within the diasporas. The dominant discourse when it comes to youth in the Horn of Africa is almost the exact opposite of that of women, right? Women are seen as victims, whereas young people are seen as perpetrators of violence. And that does a disservice to us, those us from the Horn and beyond, because it then silences the role that young people play when it comes to promoting peace, promoting nation building processes. And so when we take into consideration the past and the present of how, what is seen within this dominant discourse as disenfranchised groups or silenced groups, it is very important for us, those who have a direct stake at seeing a secure and peaceful Horn of Africa, that we combat these narratives that either divides us between victims and perpetrators, to then show that our societies and people are much more dynamic than what Western media perpetuates us to be. Women and youth should be seen and recognized as assets, as peace builders, as diplomats and negotiators in their own rights, public ambassadors to their people, and not just these agents of violence or victims that are need to be saved from the West. And we should also not we should combat this narrative that for us to have a secure region, that we should also be subjects of some type of neo-liberalism. And what I mean by that is the idea that for us to have security, that we would have to take on policies that individualizes us more than we individualize ourselves, right? When it comes to the socioeconomic aspect of what we would like to witness in our region, we should not adapt policies or ideologies that do not represent our sort of collective culture, the collective culture we have in the Horn of Africa. And there's a very good reason why I'm saying this. It should not be lost on us that there are elements who have a vested interest in seeing the Horn continue on with the legacy of being one of the most conflict-ridden regions in the world. For centuries, colonial and imperialist ambitions have had a vested interest in dividing Africa's people and manufacturing conflict through first empowering colonial administrators, or what we might call local elites, while allowing them, in cahoots with the colonial masters, to perpetually exploit other groups within our countries. The typical divide and rule tactic is what I call it. And it's been unfortunate that in some pockets of the Horn of Africa, we are witnessing this colonial legacy of divide and rule, especially when politics is masked by being an issue of ethnic, tribe, or clan politics. And here, it would be a disservice if I would not mention the fact that there has been a lot of cases where political elites, politicians, and warlords have tried to exploit young people for their shallow political ends, right? We do have issues of, unemployment, disenfranchisement, and all these type of things. But there has been a lot of politicians who, instead of using the energy, the able-bodiedness and youthdom of the young people for peaceful purposes, they have used them for violent purposes, right? Violent purposes that that can be labeled as terrorism or extremism, that has perpetuated ethnic violence and these type of things. And so with that, I would like to call on the young people of the Horn to be very wary of those who seek to exploit you for all the potential that you have, right? This is our time. This is an amazing time to be alive, and especially for us young people who have, I guess, a few decades left in our lifetime. Hopefully, I think we're very fortunate to have been born during this time, right? To have been able to witness this peace while being able to use our resources, right? Our education, our opportunities, the radical love that we have for our people to make sure that we don't go back to being, again, one of the most conflict-ridden regions of the world. So, yeah, I think my 12 minutes is over. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you. Right on time, Sayti Rahel Weldeab. That was a very concise presentation. And your conclusions are right. The youth have to take command now of this new era of peace, of the new Horn of Africa. And I completely agree with you towards that. And we also will play our part in Horn of Africa TV. Thank you very much for that excellent presentation. Our next presenter is Tedros Goitom. Tedros is a multi-talented, very skilled organizer, mobilizer of youth. He has been in the forefront of the struggle for the past decades since I knew him. Very dynamic in the foundation of the establishment, of the YPFDJ movement of youth in Europe, in diaspora. He played a central role. And he has been continuing to play that role as an effective community organizer in our Eritrean diaspora communities. He's a man who not only talks the talk, but walks the walk as well. Last couple of years ago, he said, I have to do my national service, went to Eritrea, although he's borderline youth now. I mean, he's not as old as me, but still not as young as Rahel. So he went and did his national service with his sons and daughters. That is the 32nd round, is it, of the Eritrean national service. Very exemplary. Yeah? So as I said, he walks the walk. Not only talks the talk, but walks the walk, leads by example. He has worked as, diaspora, Eritrean diaspora community organizer in Sweden, in Germany. His latest posting was in the United Kingdom. And now we are very fortunate also to have him in our editorial board of the Horn of Africa TV. He's leading a youth program of the Horn of Africa TV together with his team members like Janai Gergis. So he's going to give us an overview of that in Tigrinya. Tedros, the floor is yours.
يغني لي بساي إلياس بساي دينامو مبل ثلاثة حدا زور سلزخون كوسي أنت يزبل أنا حنت خدتن زن أساب صوت نفسي ناي أحد من ساعات بساي ترودا سي سلزخونة أنا خواي زن أسيلان دي تزارب سلزس زي أرق siempre Giovanni le quiere zuguaz malati. Thank you for giving me the floor. Kubur Bsai, Professor Mohamed Hassan, President Horn Africa Media Group. Kubur Bsai Abdel Qadir Hamdan, Director General. Bsai Elias Amare, Editor-in-Chief. Kuburat Abalat Board. زخبركن زخبركم من تساتف تزو على رأي حدث أفريقيا نمدلال سلام نصتان أبز مدرخ ترخيبه حتصير قال كسمع حابن سمعني بسيت راهيل ولداب نتران أبركتم من سياتن دو كنستيون أبز حدش موائل سلام شركنتن أبز تحدث رأي نزوبا وهدتن عبيتنا ملكتا زعمة مجلسي أغريبا سلزلا بوغني حتصير ميتو خقربن أو تنسرح أهادم دلاو مدن من سياتا تفكيري أفنا وحبريتا خهبنيو تتلوقي كم مخفتي قلي أمنايك ألسس وتافي زمر حلن زمستاني زتلابس وان مرحى حسابات كقرب أفقدو لي هاجراو چارتر إيرترا نبار سند خوينو مسنايلومو قداينا التاساسيرة كابتن شدشت عمدتا رأينا سلسة قتتس كدمن لعلون كله وسان ترازلوه حتى سنيتيو أو اشتهاجرات أبزلو ديموغرافيكاوين هايمانوت عليتاوي بزحنتات رايزي كونه انترلاي بدرجة زوباون بمقان كرن أفريقانا مقلاش سنيت نقلون معلبونان كخونسي قدنيو مهنات مخصقاس منقاس سنيت وسانة لغانا كخون يقبا مزي بزسانة شادشاي نتبي هاقراو چارترنا زوباون أهقراون شركنتن متحبارن زبلي إرترا تخون كلن أحد هاقرا زوبانا بتناصل دسيت سلام يخون قوبال اللمعات كخونا زي حسابون كأنت زي بلنايو درجة مثالاو تمنيتيو بحبار كنبر تفريدنا ترى زي كونه بشركنت نمرقا خنكيرو مدرخاوي عمامنا ايو اتقزيخا اخيليو نايزا حالفة 100 عامتات تاريخنا ناي ادحدنا تلقن متفنان زفترو حسار مكرا قديفنا احوينان سنيت وهدت مكبار وازيمانا غيرنا بحبار كنعبن كنتحلالون قدني سنيت زوبا وهدتن شركنتن بفلسفنا محبراو فتحيق مراح زلاقنت موحاسن نبارنت سلام مرققاسن يخون محبراو فتحي قدني قرنا أفريقيا TV بسفحو إذناي ميديا تكالنان نعلاما محبراو فتحي وزيمو غيرو كسرح كا قدني أوشت زي كلتا وسنت رقاحيتات كم امن خرنع ميدياون اتفتاتنا وسكبل باهبلاني أب كبرتات سريت كا مسرح اتحاديو value based work اتخلايكا وسان تراناي حسابات ideas و ideals سرح بمردة بحسابات بسفح الردادة إيرتراوي قرن أفريقاوي حسابات نمدنفع مخصوص نمسناي كنسرح كمنا ميديا تكالت رايزي كونه بسفحو كم تقالستي وغنات عتقلو زلنا سوراوي تلوخوناي بحقي سوراوي تلوخو يزلنا مساينا ناي مقصار زخسرناي ناي مملاس غويتوت عدلنا ناي مخان سوراوي قالسي إذا دحر مبالكا أمنسيات زي وفر حبرتسب بزعبا مع مسايو زي قدس حبرتسبي بحق وفري أمنسيات وفري أمسايو برك حساون كخون يخيل زي كما يسي بحرن سبن زفارن زولدن كسالنا زورو كرغاغسي سلازي مسرتاون اي مفتارنا تلخو ترجمن يو كسالنت موحس قرن أفريقيا ميديا جروب وإيجنسي عبلعلي كمز تزرزرو كبرتاتن رأيين تمسيتا بسوراو طمح حتون مدباتن منسيات ماكل غيرا تبقي سالا تجبات خون منطقة حانت دلدلتي أهدو مدلاو مدبات منسيات بمقام كاوتن نام مفراي تسقاقيرا تركب تتحيزو زلو وتنتكباري أبكلت عبيتي كفالات استخفلو خوينو قداماي نزوباوي قرن أفريقاو هدتن شركنتن زعلمه نمنسيات قرن أفريقا زساني زي تعارارخ أب حباراو قالسي أقوزون لمعاتن دسمد وطني يتخالاي أنفت نايزو وطنكا نايتو وطن أمنسيات إرترا أتوكروز قبره كاموياويان استمهرو كساب نؤسانا نناي حمامي ويبقى السوقيا قلب صوتنا حمشتا عسران حمشتن زي الساتفن أتوكرو ذهبا مدبات نمدلاويو تنقلو حتى حسابات مأكلاويو مس مخصقاس تساوار النت فللياتنا حسابات كنستناقد بهاناس ملكعو حلالي نعنا قنكا قلع علمون يبلنا نحنا ناي زوبانا سلامن رقاتن شركنتن ناي إرترانا ربحان كا نسماون أفراسن تساوارنتيلنا أواقع عداقا إن أتوننا نتزي تسوية جغننت من سي إرترا نمنقات بوتا تحازي علولو أبركتوكم نقفتاكم ستاكيكم كا أي فلينا أما دمدمتا من سي كرن أفريقيا أبحاد وسان مدرخ يركب بمرة تساحلون لبيمونيو ويتا مسايو خوم انتي بوهدت بستوراو تحزو كنكح كودبن كعتقن قدنيو اتين 25 عامتات بخدمنا سلامنا زرقنا يملو زوبا دمنيا جاندا تاليولو اب تحت زخونه يكون كنت متئتاو بعداويان كنفكد اي نخلنينا نايميت عامت بدلاتهم يا اخلنا حجي محبراو فتحي نمنقاس بشركنت بوهدت رقاتن راهوان كنهنس منسي كرن أفريقيا مدرخ يتقلبوا له كون أفريقيا ميديا جروب مساهدو منسيات حجامة قبر اللخو تبلالا سعونا وترو عوت نحفش
وترو عوت نحفش indeed victories to the people, power to the people basically is our Eritrean slogan, and thank you for that excellent presentation, Comrade Tedros Goitom. He basically gave an overview of the Horn of Africa TV's central youth program. The production unit is now geared up to produce many stories, interviews, to tell, take control of the narrative, basically, to promote the peace of the Horn of Africa region. And towards that end, also to eliminate hate, division, sectarianism, and all kinds of pernicious ideological influences, and to promote social harmony among all peoples. So we welcome that youth program, Tedros and your team, and we are eagerly awaiting. Many of the team members are participating in this conference. So I hope during the Q&A session, they will give us some insight also and participate actively. So the last presenter is yours truly. I am at a loss now. Most of the things that I wanted to say have been said already. So what am I going to do? Well, I will try to briefly sum up some of the salient points that they have put forth from the start, and then give the mission of Horn of Africa TV. The title of my presentation essentially is a new media for the new Horn of Africa, the case of Horn of Africa TV. Why do I say the new media? Well, first let's begin with the new Horn of Africa. What is it? Our illustrious President, Professor Mohamed S, founding chair, Ustaz Abdul Qadir Hamdan, and all the panelists have said clearly that we are now in an era of the new Horn of Africa, an era of peace has been ushered in. This peace that has been ushered in 2018, essentially 3 years ago now, its three main pillars in the Horn of Africa are Eritrea, Ethiopia, and Somalia. The other countries in the Horn, Sudan, is in transition. It has ended the era of dictatorship, but is still in critical transition. Djibouti is Djibouti. It is the military base there, which invites all kinds of foreign interferences. But Djibouti can be managed if the three pillars stay strong. If they protect the peace, secure the peace process is essential. Because in this new era of peace, although the peoples, as you have seen, have welcomed it joyously, there are forces near and far that are eagerly waiting to disrupt, to sabotage this newfound peace. So the peoples of the Horn of Africa must be vigilant. And the three pillar nations, Eritrea, Somalia, and Ethiopia, must also be vigilant. We at the Horn of Africa, therefore, Horn of Africa TV, therefore, aim to promote this peace, to make sure that this peace process is secure, and to promote cooperation among peoples and nations. Why do I say new media? Well, the era we are in, especially the past 3 decades, has witnessed a tremendous advance in communications technology. We are now in an era where old technology is becoming redundant. The old media is essentially dying. Now, almost everybody can become a journalist. The smartphone is a camera. It is a video editing machine. You can upload things in your website, write and communicate in social media. So it has empowered people, but it comes with challenges also. So using this new media with limited resources, we can become the voices of the people to nurture the peace. This peace that we are witnessing in the Horn of Africa has many enemies, many opponents. War by media is being conducted against against this peace process. What we are witnessing right now with the demise of the ethno-fascist clique of the TPLF, that was the major obstacle of peace in the Horn of Africa. In fact, it is the toxic political cancer of the Horn of Africa that was. The TPLF is now no more. It is dead. It is done with. But it is amazing that imperialistic forces in the West are trying to resuscitate it. To what end? Well, we have provided numerous analyses towards explaining why, but we must remain vigilant. One of the things they are doing is conducting war by media. The Western mainstream media is conducting intensive propaganda to demonize Eritrea, to demonize Ethiopia. They're using human rights also. We know war by media, right? A phrase that was coined, I think, either by Julian Assange, you will hear him, or John Pilger, two great investigative journalists. So war by media is essentially propaganda. It's an information warfare, psychological warfare on the people. But we are witnessing also a new type of war called war by human rights. Well, what? You might say. What is war by human rights? Well, human rights in quotation marks, the NGOs, the attack dogs of imperialism in the guise of human rights organizations, the two major ones are Amnesty International and Human Rights Watch. They are conducting right now, as we speak, war by human rights against peoples of the Horn of Africa. We have to remain vigilant and expose their lies. They're peddling all kinds of lies. By the way, my good friend, Professor Mohamed S has mentioned Investigation. They have done a wonderful article exposing this by Franz de Magid, one of the comrades. He's done a very good work. We will promote that. Essentially, they're peddling lies of massacre, genocide happening in Tigray. Everything they tell you is lies. The Western media is also complicit in this. So what we need to do is expose this, expose the war by media and expose the war by human rights and defend the peace. And that is what we are doing here in the Horn of Africa TV, using new technology, using the new media to provide a platform for all the peoples of the Horn of Africa TV. The Horn of Africa region. Now I would like to quote, in the interest of time, I want to make it very brief. One of my role models is Malcolm X. Malcolm X was, in his time, very media savvy. He was, of course, a thinker, a political organizer, a mobilizer, but he understood the power of the media. One of his quotes says about the media are the most powerful entity on earth. They have the power to make the innocent guilty and to make the guilty innocent. And that's power, because they control the minds of the masses. Essentially, Malcolm X is echoing what Steve Biko, a decade after him, said. The most potent weapon in the hands of the oppressor is the minds of the oppressed. So they want to control our minds. And we have to make sure that the minds of the masses of the Horn of Africa is free from this kind of hegemony and this kind of control. If Malcolm X was alive today, he would have understood the power of the media much more. This quotation that I cited was in 1960s. Things have changed drastically now. And so what he said to make the innocent guilty and the guilty innocent is what the political thinker, progressive left and friend of Professor Mohamed Hassan, Michel Colon, also said that in his 5 points of war propaganda. One of the major points is to invert the victim and the aggressor. So that is what the media is doing right now, the Western media, that is the corporate media. They are inverting the victim and the aggressor. The aggressor was the TPLF. It was clearly the one who started the war, the recent war in the northern Ethiopia region. It committed massive atrocities, genocide, crimes against humanity. Yet that victim now is becoming, that aggressor now is becoming the victim. And the victims, the peoples of the Horn of Africa, Eritrea, Ethiopia, and Somalia, they are becoming the aggressor. So it has this capacity of inverting the victim and the aggressor. Let us see now a short video clip that by one great investigative journalist that I admire. He has suffered, he has paid the price. He's a martyr for freedom of speech. He's currently under detention. His name is Julian Assange. I think everybody knows who Julian Assange is. He is a courageous warrior in the service of truth. WikiLeaks did a lot of service to many people, including us in Eritrea. It exposed the lies that they perpetrated to impose sanctions on Eritrea. Had it not been for Julian Assange and his WikiLeaks, we would never have known what was being cooked behind secret doors. So let us hear what he says, and I will make a brief concluding remark, and then we will go to the question and answer session. So can we please play that short video of Julian Assange, a speech he gave in London, I think around 2006, much before he was imprisoned. Let us hear that video, and then I will conclude my remarks. Thank you.
If wars can be started by lies, truth can be started, peace can be started by truth. I want to tell you what I think is the way that wars come to be and that wars can be undone. In democracies, or the pseudo-democracies that we are evolving into, wars are a result of lies. The Vietnam War and the push for US involvement was a result of the Gulf of Tonkin incident. A lie. Here. The Iraq War famously is a result of lies. Wars in Somalia are a result of lies. The Second World War and the German invasion of Poland was a result of carefully constructed lies. That is war by media. Let us ask ourselves, of the complicit media, which is the majority of the mainstream press, what is the average death count attributed to each journalist? When we understand that wars come about as a result of lies peddled to the British public and the American public and the publics all over Europe and other countries, then who are the war criminals? It is not just leaders, it is not just soldiers, it is journalists. Journalists are war criminals. And why one might think that that should lead us to a state of despair, that the reality that is constructed around us is constructed by liars, is constructed by people who are close to those that they are meant to be policing. It should lead us also to an optimistic understanding, because if wars can be started by lies, truth can be started, peace can be started by truth. So that is our task, and it is your task. Go and get the truth. Get into the ballpark and get the ball, and give it to us, and we'll spread it all over the world.
The central message, if we can repeat that, very short, the video of the central message that he said, Julian Assange said, please, just that audio, one or two sentences. We can put that up.
In democracies, wars are a result of lies. And why one might think that that should lead us to a state of despair, it should lead us also to an optimistic understanding. Because if wars can be started by lies, peace can be started by truth.
If wars can be started by lies, peace can be started by truth. So we here in the Horn of Africa TV aim to be warriors for peace, armed with truth. We want to arm millions of our masses with the truth so that they can secure the peace. Because we know that they start war by their lies. We have witnessed it in Libya in 2011. It was lies. Gaddafi never hired black mercenaries, as they said. Or the Libyan army did not commit atrocities. It was later proven to be lies. But in the name of humanitarian intervention or responsibility to protect, they passed the resolution in the UN Security Council and they bombarded Libya to the Stone Age. Libya is in a very sad state now. It's no longer a unified nation. It will take it decades to recover from the devastation. They're doing the same thing in Syria. Humanitarian intervention, they call it humanitarian my foot. These are lies. And they're concocting the same lies in our region, in Ethiopia, in the Tigray region, aiming at humanitarian intervention. Lies, lies, lies to promote war. So we have to keep telling the truth to promote peace. And that is what we are all about here in the Horn of Africa TV. I thank you very much. Now we have a surprise video tribute to the peace we are enjoying in the new Horn of Africa. We will use that as a transition, and then we will go to the second part, which is a panel discussion. We would invite you to enjoy this beautiful tribute to peace music. I will not tell you what it is. It is a surprise, but I'm sure you will love it, especially you, Professor Mohamed Hassan.
ፍቅር ለሰው ልጆች ሰላም ለሰው ልጆች ፍቅር ለሰው ልጆች ሰላም ለሰው ልጆች በዓለም ዙሪያ ሁሉ ሰላም ይሁን ምድሩ ሁሉ ሰላም 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 በዓለም ዙሪያ ሁሉ ለሰው ዘር በሙሉ ሰላም 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 በዓለም ዙሪያ ሁሉ ለሰው ዘር በሙሉ ከባህር ከብሱ ከሰፊው ውቅያኖስ በሚመጣ አየር በሚነፍሰው ነፋስ ያለን መልካም ምኞት ያለን ቀና መንፈስ የሰላም ጥሪያችን መልእክታችን ይድረስ የተበከለ አየር ጠፍቶ ከላያቸው የዱር አራዊቶች አዕዋፍ በጎጇቸው ሁሉም በያሉበት በየበኩላቸው የሰላሙ ፋና ይድመቅ ይብራላቸው በዓለም ይስፈንልን ሰላም በዓለም ይስፈንልን ሰላም 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 በዓለም ዙሪያ ሁሉ ለሰው ዘር በሙሉ ሰላም 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 በዓለም ዙሪያ ሁሉ ለሰው ዘር በሙሉ ሕፃናት እንዲያድጉ በንጹህ አእምሮ ነፃ ሕሊናቸው ጎልብቶና ዳብሮ ወጣት ሽማግሌ የሰው ዘሮች ሁሉ ሰላም ለዓለማችን ይላሉ በሙሉ ዘንባባ ዘንጥፈን እርግቦቹን ለቀን ዘር ቀለም ሳንለይ ጥላቻን አርቀን ለሰው ልጆች ደስታ ለሰው ልጆች ፍቅር ከአጽናፍ እስከ አጽናፍ ለሰላም እንዘምር በዓለም ይስፈንልን ሰላም በዓለም ይስፈንልን ሰላም 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 በዓለም ዙሪያ ሁሉ ለሰው ዘር በሙሉ ሰላም 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 በዓለም ዙሪያ ሁሉ ለሰው ዘር በሙሉ ሰላም دمنا الكسات دمسسو مسوات بهار الناس دمسو إرترا دمنا الكسات دمسسو مسوات بهار الناس دمسو دمنا الكسات دمسسو مسوات بهار الناس دمسو نوعين عيسى في الأمان تمتي تناقوين سوا إرتاب جمال الوسوال أمسكيرا كي كنت الوال إرتاب العالم تبيت توكبو كبرا ناس الناس تلومي نهجان من أكسري سلطانك حنال بساقر ما حدري لنا كنتاك سينما إرترا العالم تبيت توكبو كبرا إرترا العالم تبيت توكبو كبرا برام 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 سلام لفتي لهزبوش نتعنت بكل الناس بكير قومنا الباندنات مسارات تسنو سبنا يا شارين هزبوش نلسرا بسرا ينوري يا كريكس بالبيت يا تفترو تقاف يا تقنارز بالنار انت فيك شلال على بنادرة إثيوبيا تنوري هيا
እናመሰግናለን።
I'm ያወረሰን የቀጠለን ትውልድ በደምና በዘር በጥይት የቆምን ከትናንት በስቲያ እንደዚህ ነበርን። ነፃነት ስትሹ አሜን በጄ ብለን ለእህት ኤርትራ ነፃነት ደግፈን ፍቅራችን ተራፍኖ ረግሶ ብትላቻ መለያየት ሽፈን ለመኖር ለብቻ እናትና አባቶች ድንበር ለያይቷቸው ወንድም ከእህቶቹ ግዛት በትኗቸው መቀራረብ ሲቻል መራራቅ ገጥቷቸው ናፍቆት ለመግለጽ ቋንቋ አንሶባቸው እልፍ ተከፈለ ስንት ስጋና ደም ወደኋላ ሚጎትት ከፊት ማያስቀድም ስንት ቀን ታለፈ ስንት ተቀጠፈ ምን ያህል ባከነ ስንቱ ተከደነ ስንት ቀን ታለፈ ስንቱ ተቀጠፈ ምን ያህል ባከነ ስንቱ ተከደነ ያ ሁሉ ቀን አልፎ ቀን ሲመጣ ከልባችን ክፋት ጥላቻ ሲመጣ ቋንቋቸው ድምፃችን ገጻቸው መልካችን ስማቸው ስማችን ፍቅራቸው ውስጣችን በቦታ ሁለት ግድ የማይቀልለው ድልድይ ያለበት አብረን የምንዘራ በህብረት ብናጭድ በቁም መከባበር ተያይዘን ምንሄድ ኢትዮጵያና ኤርትራ በፍቅር በተሰራ በወርቅ ተሸምነን የተሻለ ነገር እንሰራ ህዝቦች ነን። ለነገ ህፃናት መሰረት የሚጥል ለዛሬ ወጣቶች ስደትን የሚያገል ድልድይ ተገነባ ከፍቅራችን ታፍሶ የጥላቻ ግንቡን አፍርሶ ደርምሶ ክብር ለመንግስታት ለህዝብ ተምሳሌቶች በፍቅር ተሸንፈው ፍቅር አትራፊዎች እንግዳ አድርጋችሁ ላሳያችሁን ክብር ውለታ ልንመልስ ልንከፍል ብድር እንኳን አየናችሁ መጣችሁ ወደኛ እኛ ነን እናንተ እናንተ ናችሁ እኛ በመደመር ስሪት ጥላቻ አፈረ ክፋት ተደፈረ ኃይላችን ጨመረ በመደመር ስሪት ጥላቻ አፈረ ክፋት ተደፈረ ኃይላችን ጨመረ ኢትዮጵያና ኤርትራ በፍቅር በተሰራ በወርቅ ተሸምነን የተሻለ ነገር እንሰራ ህዝቦች ነን። ኢትዮጵያና ኤርትራ በፍቅር በተሰራ በወርቅ ተሸምነን የተሻለ ነገር እንሰራ ህዝቦች ነን።
The signature of the peace agreement between the President of Eritrea and the Prime Minister of Ethiopia is indeed an historic event in a world where we see unfortunately so many conflicts multiplying and lasting forever.